Alright, the first indication I received that let me know the business world wasn't about nothing positive was during my time in college, where I was pursuing my bachelor's in information technology. I had the task to do a essay on a business idea. And at that time, I knew racism exists, but I didn't know it was a systematic thing. So I didn't know it was as bad as it actually is. And so my idea was about helping my community. The essay I wrote was about helping my community. And I knew it was a good idea. And everyone I spoke to all the normal people that I spoke to, you know what I'm saying, the average Joe type people, agreed with the idea. But people in the higher atmosphere just straight shut it down. Didn't give me no reason why. It was like, it's just not a good idea. Couldn't tell me why none of this stuff. When I turned the paper in, the instructor failed it. It was like, it's a bad idea. Didn't give me no reason why, just failed it. I had to write it again. I wrote the same thing, failed it again. No real no explanation as to why it was a bad idea. And it was basically me saying that from my observation of growing up in the hood, I realized a lot of the problem stems from lack of structure in these communities. After all they've been through, after all these this lineage has been through racism and stuff like that, tearing them down, trying to destroy the family structure, the only way to fix it was to rebuild the family structure. And so to rebuild structure, you have to give them structure. I believed that jobs should be a human right. Because when you think back to the beginning of a community coming together, everybody had their job to do to help the community grow. So there shouldn't have been no situation where you have to beg for a job just to feed yourself and put a roof over your head. A properly running society has a job for everyone. Only when corruption and greed come into play does the lines begin to blur. It goes from being your right to being a privilege. But the idea was about giving structure to the community. I realized a lot of people didn't know how to manage their money. A lot of people didn't know how to raise children correctly because they were not raised correctly. And overall, I just realized people just need help with the basics. They needed guidance themselves because a lot of the adults didn't have it. A lot of them didn't have guidance growing up. And so I was like, how about someone with connections to jobs, someone in a position with connections, something like a temp agency, right? But bigger than that. You needed someone with connections with jobs. You needed someone powerful with connections. And at the time, I was definitely naive in saying the insurance companies should have a program that people can sign up to where they are automatically given a job, basically. They take the people's information, find out what suits them. I mean, what they're qualified for and all this type of stuff. And just through their network of companies and jobs and work, they can send these people to these jobs. That insurance company receives that person's pay. And with that pay, they provide a roof with over their heads and qualified apartments or something like that they have connections with. The food is available. Basic level of food is available to that person. And health care is provided to that person. And they get like an allowance. Since a lot of these people struggle with managing their money, keeping a roof over their head, providing for their children and stuff like this, why not create a system that does it for them? Because under that structure, the children that they're raising will have better guidance when they become adults. And I didn't realize insurance companies didn't give a damn about people like that. So it was definitely an angry. But notice nobody said that when I introduced that idea. The whole idea of the program to the average Joe type people that I was speaking to was like, it sounds okay, but of course a lot of people don't want to sign up for that because they don't want nobody controlling their lives like that. They don't want nobody in control of their money. But if it's guarantee you work, guarantee you a roof over your head, guarantee you health and food, clothes on your back and stuff like that, the people that really need their help will have that available, right? So not everybody needs to sign up for it, but at least the program would be available because everybody deserves to work. And of course, if they do something to violate rules and can't get their act together or something like that, they get kicked out or whatever. But at least it would have been a program to help. And yes, the thing was about the business idea. And of course, having a business idea, you expect to make profit. But as I said, they're sending these people to work. They're getting their paychecks. They're getting their income. So I'm pretty sure if the system really cared about people, they can make it where they could apply these services and still make a profit. But see, I did not realize just how greedy the world was. I didn't realize people was not operating as a community. It was individualism. But see, nobody could explain that, not even the instructor. All they would say is, it's not a good idea. And so, that right there let me know. Well, that was a strong indication that the business world wasn't about nothing. And as I got into the business world, I started seeing more and more signs that these people just don't care. I remember I tried to get into this program that was supposed to be about coming up with an idea to help the community. And instead, they was coming up with ideas to scam the community. I said, I don't want nothing to do with that. I'm not putting my name on that. And they looking at me like, who are you? And I'm like, this is crazy. That's when I was realizing there's a lot of people that just don't give a damn in this world. And so, when you realize this, that you're involved in relationships with people that just don't give a damn about you, why continue to be a part of that? Here, this video, it says, inside the elite's secret courts where you have no rights. It's a real thing. These companies have you sign these agreements and the second you get violated by these companies and try to take them to court, it won't do you no good. It's all about protecting the rich and the powerful. But yet y'all still support this system. Going to these jobs, working these 9-to-5s. Instead of linking up with your people and trying to create your own. I'm gonna go ahead and play it.
Because today I am going to share specific examples of those exact crimes committed against Americans who wound up with the exact outcome that I described. Normally, you would expect the perpetrator of crimes like rape, murder, theft, or battery to be caught and arrested by police, lose a trial in a court of law, and go to jail or prison. And if a regular person commits those crimes, that's probably what would happen. But if the people who rule the world commit such a crime, that's not how it works. They have a special court system where the judges are not legally required to follow the law, nor are the attorneys. Judges are openly paid by your offender for doing their job, and paid quite handsomely, I might add. And you are bound to secrecy. You can't talk about it, and the world will never learn that this happens to more than 1 million Americans every year. When I say people who rule the world, you might think I mean the Illuminati or the Rothschilds or something. And so you just need to steer clear of a small handful of evil supervillains. And you should steer clear of them too, but that's not who I'm referring to. I'm talking about corporations and private equity. And you might not know it, but you've already agreed to this. You've already signed your rights away over and over every time you click agree to terms of service. And most of us have clicked that a lot of times. The average American household with 2 teenage children has currently agreed to about 160 arbitration agreements. If you take your kids to a birthday party, there's an arbitration agreement. Sign them up for swim lessons, arbitration agreement. Went to a concert, arbitration agreement. Martial arts classes, arbitration agreement. Got a massage, arbitration agreement. Bought a washing machine, rented a house, got a job, took an Uber, went to the hospital. All have arbitration agreements. Heck, most people's cell phones alone include more than 20 arbitration agreements, one for each app you download. And speaking of apps, I want to start today with a story about Uber. And I'll let Tiffany Cianci, who we met in my first episode on Candace,
Type in that title in YouTube. This is Candace Owens' channel. You should be able to watch the rest of that.